Good afternoon, everyone. Senate Finance Committee is now in session. I'm going to quickly run down the order of the bills that we'll be hearing this afternoon. And remember, colleagues, a half hour roughly, once this hearing is over, we will be in a voting session. We'll start first with Senate Bill 709, Senator Edwards. Also Senator Edwards, following that with 802. Senate Bill 740, Senator Rosapeth. Senate Bill 732, Senator Patterson. Senate Bill 783, Senator Hayes. Senate Bill 788, Senator Hester. And we also have Senator Hester following that for Senate Bill 824, and finally, Senate Bill 902. All right. Senator Edwards, you have all of the time that you need to lay out the parameters of your bill. You have selected Al Delia as your major proponent from Frostburg State U. That person will have 5 minutes, and then we also have the executive director for TEDCO, Troy Lamel Stovall, who will have 2.5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'll be brief. I'm gonna hit the high points of both bills. You want me to talk on the one and then have others and then go to the second one?
Well, what we called you for right now is
709. Okay, we'll do that one first. Senate Bill 709 is the Maryland Technology Infrastructure Pilot Program. Last year, we passed a bill that established a Western Maryland Economic Development Task Force to look at the economy of Western Maryland, and in this case, in these bills, and then the bill that passed last year, Western Maryland, Washington, Allegheny, and Garrett counties. We did that to take a thorough look at the economy because of the situation those three counties are in the state, where we've been hit pretty hard, probably the hardest. And if you look at all the charts and graphs of employment, the population, and all that kind of stuff, we're basically at the bottom of the rung in about every one of them. So we're trying to come up with some ways to try to help us get out of the economic doldrums, for a better way to say it. But 709 establishes the Maryland Technology Infrastructure Pilot Program and Fund in the Maryland Technology Development Corporation, which is TEDCO, focused on Western Maryland. It's established an innovative economy of incentivizing the development of advanced industry, infrastructure, and resources in the region. Support of the growth of innovation-based businesses in Western Maryland would be a big part of this. Manage MTIF, which is the Maryland Infrastructure Pilot Program, for financial assistance in the projects. Evaluate the programs for future expansion to other parts of the state if this works out the way we think it might, and be helpful to other parts of the state after a period of time. Be 2.5 million per year for 5 years into the program. And the MTIF may not contribute more than 1/3 of the total cost of a project, or $500,000 per project. It's a 5-year program from 21 to 26. Then it'll be evaluated, and then to expand it to the whole state, or to stop the program after that period of time if it doesn't seem to be working. So with that, I'll leave the other speaker who probably a little more knowledgeable, but we think this is we have basically 5 bills in this year from the task force. And this is these two that I'm going to present, this one and the one after this one, are 2 of the 5. So I would ask for your support of Senate Bill 709.
Thank you. All right, now we'll hear, are there any questions? All right, hearing none. We'll go next to Al Delia. You have 5 minutes.
Doesn't have any audio.
Okay, he's here. I see. All right, Mr. Delio, you're on.
There's pictures there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has no audio. showing that he turned his audio on.
You're muted, Al.
Sorry, I just got noticed that you were starting the hearing.
You're up.
Okay, you're on now.
Oh, okay. On 709?
Correct.
Okay. Let me pull up the testimony. Okay. Chair Kelly, members of the Finance Committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. I am Al D'Elia, Vice President of Regional Development and Engagement here at Frostburg State University. And Frostburg State University is pleased to support SB 709, which will provide focused funding for strategic innovation projects in Western Maryland. This concept grew from the work of the Task Force on the Economic Future of Western Maryland, which is co-chaired by Senator Edwards and Delegate Buckle, and is a localized version of the previous attempts to create a statewide program. As has been demonstrated by the work of FSU's Division of Regional Development and Engagement, innovation does in fact occur in Western Maryland. We have developed successful partnerships with private companies in sustainable energy and resiliency, in the bioscience laboratory space, and in information technology. This fund would help the Western counties compete by funding the infrastructure needed to develop transformative projects and partnerships, like the ones I mentioned a few seconds ago. The bill establishes the Maryland Technology Infrastructure Fund pilot program within TEDCO to review projects and administer the fund. Criteria for funding under the program would include attraction of significant investment resulting in significant company formation or job creation, or result in meaningful economic and employment development in Western Maryland. The bill contains a sunset provision and requires an evaluation in 2025 to include recommendation as to whether the program should be continued or even expanded to a statewide effort. Without such access to funding, Western Maryland will continue to struggle to find and devote the resources needed to build the infrastructure platforms vital to success in technology sectors. I thank Senator Edwards and Quarterman for sponsoring this bill, and Frostburg State University urges a favorable committee report on SB 709.
Thank you. Are there
Thank you.
any questions?
Madam Chair, no actually a question, but
Yes,
the
Senator Hayes.
and I just simply wanted to say, as a alumni of Frostburg State University, a proud alumni of Frostburg State University, I'm very glad that Senator Edwards and all have brought this piece of legislation to our committee. Thank you.
Okay. Are there questions? All right, if not, then we're going next to the Executive Director of TEDCO, Troy Lamel Stovall. I think
I'll mute myself. Yep, I'm muting myself. I was saying a bunch of just other stuff. Thanks, Chair Kelly. Appreciate you. Good seeing you. Senator Edwards, Senator Corman, thank you for your leadership on this. And again, Chair Kelly and Vice Chair Feldman and members of the Senate Finance Committee. It's been stated, my name is Troy Lamel Stovall, and I serve as the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director for the Maryland Technology Development Corporation. Most of you know that as TEDCO. Senate Bill 709 represents, has always been stated, one of 14 recommendations from this task force for the economic future of Western Maryland, which provides a framework to build on the existing strengths of Western Maryland while mapping on economic future consistent with the goals of the task force. In its report, the task force examines the economic strengths of the region. So the purpose of this bill is to incentivize projects that support the innovation, economy, and the growth, attraction, and retention of innovation-based system businesses in Western Maryland. 709 is in part based on recommendations from an older report, the Excel Maryland Steering Committee, which convened by the administration in 2017 and 2018. This pilot program, as been stated, will be established by the bill, would also build on TEDCO's existing Rural Business Innovation Initiative, which provides funding and advisory services to early stage technology companies in the rural regions of Maryland. It ensures that these investments in early stage ventures provide long-term returns to Maryland by ensuring that those young companies remain, prosper, and grow in Maryland. And for these reasons, TEDCO encourages a favorable report on Bill 709, and I stand ready to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there questions? Okay, this panel must have done a great job with questions. All right, we're going next to Senator Edwards' other bill, 802, and Senator, once you've laid out the parameters of your bill, Robert Hollenbeck and Al Delia are your, well, Al Delia will go next with the 5 minutes from Frostburg. And then we will hear from Robert Hollenbeck and R.T. Smathanam.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Senate Bill 802 is the second bill that you're hearing now based on recommendation of the Economic Development Task Force for Western Maryland. It's a Maryland Innovation Initiative University Expansion Pilot Program. My friend from alumnus from Frostburg State probably like this one better than the other one because it deals more directly with Frostburg itself, but it establishes this program as a pilot program, and it already exists within PEDCO, the initiative, and I'll get to the bottom here with other institutions are involved, and this would expand that. The purpose of the pilot program is to expand opportunities for technology validation, entrepreneurial development, and industry engagement. FSU must pay $50,000 to qualify for the participation in the program, and only FSU is eligible to submit project proposals for funding under the pilot program. The governor must put in $500,000 in budget year fiscal year 23 and fiscal year 24. It's a 2-year pilot in this existing program, and universities under that now are Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland, Baltimore campus, University of Maryland, College Park, Morgan State, and University of Maryland, Baltimore County, which are all in the metropolitan area. So this will get a university who wants to get expanded into innovation and technology outside the metropolitan area. We think it'll help boost the university, and the university can help boost Western Maryland, which is a kind of an economic engine for Western Maryland, and help us out tremendously. And if it works, these other institutions also have to pay into it, depending on their size, anywhere from 100,000 to 200,000. We're asking Frostburg for 50,000 because it would be basically the smallest of the group. And we think this will help us move forward economically, and I'm sure I'll elaborate a little more on it, but I would ask for your support of Senate Bill 802. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, then we'll go to Mr. Al Delia.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Chair, members of the Finance Committee. Again, thank you for an opportunity to testify today in favor of Senate Bill 802. I'm still Al Delia. I'm Vice President at Regional Development and Engagement at Frostburg State University. I have represented FSU as an active member on the task force on the economic future of Western Maryland, as indicated, co-chaired by Senator Edwards and Delegate Buckle. And among several key initiatives identified by the task force to both jumpstart and sustain the evolution of the new economy for the region was the Maryland Innovation Initiative, created by the General Assembly in 2012. The creation of this program recognized and supported the reality that research universities are engines of economic development and growth. It was designed to leverage the commercialization skills and resources of TEDCO with the research and discovery at the state's 5 research institutions. As Senator Edwards mentioned, that's Johns Hopkins, Morgan State, University of Maryland, College Park, UMBC, and UMB. However, we must recognize that smaller comprehensive universities, particular institutions like Frostburg State, located in rural, more remote areas, are as important economic engines for our regions as larger research universities are to theirs. While FSU does not undertake the breadth and the volume of research that the 5 research universities 2.5 hours to our east do, there is still great value to the economy to facilitate the engagement of smaller universities in the commercialization of new technologies. Working with TEDCO, the task force developed slightly revised criteria for MII investments, allowing FSU to participate and to extend the benefits of those investments to Western Maryland. FSU participation would not, I underscore, would not impact the continued participation, the level, or the access to funds enjoyed by each of the universities currently that are a part of the initiative. FSU's contribution to MII, as Senator Edwards mentioned, would be slightly smaller, recognizing the smaller nature of our university. And we would be able to partner with private businesses to commercialize a product or service. A modest, targeted, and time-limited expansion of this highly successful program will allow Western Maryland similar economic successes tied to academic achievement as occurs in other parts of the state. FSU has already begun to see successes in partnerships we've developed with private companies. I mentioned them earlier, but they tend to be in sustainable energy and resiliency, in the bioscience laboratory space, and in information technology. With access to a modified MII program, the work we're doing with companies in these sectors is only the beginning of the positive change that FSU can help bring to the future economic conditions of Western Maryland. For the benefit of the residents of our region, certainly, but also for the good of all Marylanders. I thank Senator Edwards and Senator Corderman again for sponsoring this bill, and I once again urge favorable committee reports on this Senate Bill 802. I'm happy to answer any questions that any members might have.
Sure. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll go next to Robert Hollenbeck.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Bob Hollenbeck. I have been the chair of the Maryland Innovation Initiative since it was founded in 2012, and I'm here to speak in favorable support for the passage of SB 802. The Maryland Innovation Initiative has been an economic driver. You heard the prior speaker mention the contributions that it has made among the 5 major research universities in the state of Maryland. What's happened is over the last nearly 9 years is the state has contributed roughly $44 million to this fund. The institutions have contributed nearly $7 million. And what that has generated is over 100 companies have been formed as a result of this, which has resulted in jobs. It has resulted in over nearly $500 million of follow-on funding into those companies. This has been an economic success story for the state of Maryland. We have moved from 38th into the top 10 in terms of creation of wise spending regarding these research programs. Putting this program as a pilot into Frostburg will take advantage of a number of unique things that Frostburg has. It's a Center for Regional Engagement and Economic Development, its faculty, the pilots that you've already heard that they have with industry. This is an opportunity for us to try something different than working with our major big institutions, and try it with an institution that, if this is successful, and we have every expectation it will be, could be a model for elsewhere in the state among all of the comprehensives. So for these reasons, we on the MII board and at TEDCO, we would encourage the passage of Senate Bill 802. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay. And our final oral witness is Artie Santhanam from TEDCO.
Thank you, Chair Kelly, Vice Chair Fallman, and members of the Finance Committee, and Senator Edwards and Corderman for giving me an opportunity to speak in support of Senate Bill 802. For the record, I'm Dr. Artie Santhanam, and I'm the Executive Director for the Maryland Innovation Initiative, and I also serve on the executive leadership at TEDCO. As my board chair, Bob Hollenbeck, has just presented and as has been submitted in the TEDCO written testimony, the MII program has been instrumental in seeding and growth of the startup ecosystem in Maryland, especially in moving technologies from our top research universities to the marketplace. As a technology agnostic program, our portfolio is as varied as our participating university partners. We have funded everything from jet engine designs to clean energy technology to vaccines and therapeutics. Our unique model brings our diverse university partners to play on the same level playing field, regardless of their research portfolio size, while fostering a culture of entrepreneurship and collaboration. Senate Bill 802 will build on lessons that we have learned in our research university partnerships and allow us to pilot a program specifically designed towards the strengths and challenges at Frostburg State University, which is obviously the anchor for the region in Western Maryland. We anticipate that the pilot program will help us create a better informed programming to include comprehensive universities such as Frostburg State into the MI program mainframe. For these reasons, I support a favorable report on Senate Bill 802. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Sure. Are there any questions for this witness? You guys must be doing a great job. You're very clear initially, so they don't have questions today, or they are tired or something. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Okay. We're going next to Senate Bill 732, Senator Patterson. Senator, you have whatever time you need to lay out the parameters of your bill. Your lead proponent, Darlene Ajayi, will have 5 minutes, and then all of the rest of your panelists will have 2.5 minutes each. So why don't we start with you, Mr. Sponsor? You're not unmuted. Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of the Finance Committee. I do appreciate the opportunity to introduce Senate Bill 732. I tell you that this legislation grew out of the Senate President Work Group of Equity and Inclusion, which Madam Chair, you served as a member, and I'm happy to submit this bill to you for consideration today. Senate Bill 732 is called the Maryland Innovation Initiative, MII, pilot program in text code, which creates a pilot program on the MII for the public for 4-year comprehensive universities to provide funding for technology, validation, entrepreneurial activities, and an incentive for industry engagement with universities. This requirement under text code was created by Chapter 450 in 2012. It's designed to combine the technology transfer expertise of text code and the expertise of state research universities. Presently, there are some 5 institutions that are participating in this program. They are Johns Hopkins University, Morgan State University, University of Maryland, Baltimore, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and the University of Maryland at College Park. Under current law, the program only included state research institutions, which does not recognize the entrepreneurial activities that happen at other anchor institutions throughout Maryland. This prevents entrepreneurs, including women and minority-owned entrepreneurs at Maryland other higher institutions from receiving funding and support. Madam Chair, I think that is a quick overview of the program. I think I have 2 excellent witnesses who will follow me and provide some additional comments for your consideration. And I do ask for a favorable response relative to Senate Bill 732.
Okay, and we have your written amendment, strikes Salisbury and substitutes Frostburg State.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, very good. All right, we'll hear now from Darlene Ajayi.
Good afternoon, Chairman Kelly, Vice Chair Feldman, and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to submit testimony in support of Senate Bill 732. I would also like to thank Senator Obi Patterson for supporting Bowie State University. Senate Bill 732 will establish the Maryland Innovation Initiative University Partnership Corporation. The pilot program will expand opportunities for technology validation, entrepreneurial development, and industry engagement at Bowie State University. As we continue to build our infrastructure at Bowie State University in research and entrepreneurship, it is critical that we expand support for intellectual IP protection, technology transfer, and commercialization of technologies and other innovative products. Developing these areas will provide the education and training as well as expertise to support all university stakeholders in this area, but also build long-term sustainable strategic ecosystem within the university and the surrounding community. Bowie State University is fortunate to be leveraged resources to address student and faculty needs, to strengthen entrepreneurship opportunities. Senate Bill 732 would strengthen student and faculty success by fostering a collaboration between eligible universities and industry partners. Thank you for your efforts to address this important issue for our students and faculty as we work to expand entrepreneurship opportunities at Bowie State University and across Maryland. We urge a favorable report for Senate Bill 732. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this witness? Okay, we're going next to who do we have? Robert Hollenbeck.
Back, yeah.
Good afternoon again. I will be brief, and I will just simply say that when we talked about Bill 802, this Bill 732 provides an important opportunity for us to, again, pilot the learnings that we will have at Bowie State. Bowie State has got some amazing programs down there in the entrepreneurial area, engagement with industry. And so working both in Western Maryland as well as at Bowie State, we think this makes some great sense, and it'll really give us an opportunity to demonstrate to the state how broadly we can ultimately apply a really successful program in creating jobs and economic development in this state. And I thank you for your time. And of course, recommend favorable consideration of the bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Hollenbeck? Okay, then we're going finally to Artie Smithenham from TEDCO.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Patterson, for introducing this bill. This is a bill that is going to help in expanding and diversifying the MI program further than what we have currently. However, as we have mentioned before, this is the MI pilot allows us the freedom to tailor the programming for these MI school MI program for the comprehensive schools such as Bowie State and Frostburg. So this allows us a little bit more freedom to tailor the programming to test out projects that would work best for these schools, as well as learn more about the opportunities, challenges, and strengths of these schools so we can leverage them the best we can through the programming. So thank you so much for letting us testify for this bill, and I support a favorable, I hope you can support a favorable report on the Senate Bill 802.
Thank you. And I'm remembering that on your prior testimony, you indicated you're a doctor, and we ought to celebrate that. You guys didn't sign up with all your credentials, so we don't have a way of knowing sometimes. Are there any questions for this witness? Okay, that ends the testimony on that bill. And we're going next to Senator Rosapep, Senate Bill 740. Senator, you have the time that you need to lay out the parameters of your legislation. Your key proponent is Ben Burge, who will have 5 minutes, and your other respondents will have 2.5 minutes each. Okay, you're on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I bring good news. This is the next to last bill that I have before your committee, so I'm sure you're glad to hear that one. This bill is like other initiatives that you've seen trying to help small businesses during the pandemic. It came out of the work group that, again, Senator Bidel and Senator Hayes and Senator Augustine and I worked on over the couple of months up to session to see what we needed to do. Because of other action by the state since we put it together and because of action by the federal government, the specifics of this bill are a good tool, I think, to help small businesses. We need all the tools we can get. But I'd ask you to think about it in the context of the variety of ways we're trying to help small businesses, because they're still struggling and they will continue to struggle. One of the things I saw in the paper the other day was a report that after the rules were relaxed about how many people could go into restaurants, the fact that people have to keep spaced means they can't have that many people in the restaurant anyway. And so the notion that some of these rules have been relaxed doesn't really mean that these businesses are back to normal. So with that, let me just urge you consideration of the bill with the other initiatives you have in small business, and then turn to my witnesses. I really worked with Anne Arundel County and some of the other counties to design this around some of the things they'd experimented with over the last year and said, look, can we scale this up as we go forward? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Okay, if not, then we're going next to Ben Burge, who is from Anne Arundel Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Again, my name is Ben Burge. I'm the President and CEO of the Anne Arundel Economic Development Corporation. And on behalf of the board and staff, we are hoping you will provide a favorable report to Senate Bill 740 with an amendment. First of all, I want to special thanks to Senator Rosa Pett for reaching out to us well before session started to talk about our grant programs, how we're working with small businesses in Anne Arundel County to serve them, to get money out the door quickly, because that's really what is one of the sort of unspoken aspects of a lot of these grant programs is the speed with which we all and you all want us to get the money on the street. One of the things I really like about Senator Rosa Pett's approach in this bill is that it provides a lot of the flexibility to the local economic development offices, the EDOs, and to the counties. And that's important because we have the workflows in place, we have the relationships in place, we have the accountability in place. All we need is general guidance from the state as to what areas to focus on, and we can take it from there. Senate Bill 740 does a really good job of allowing for that. We have very good relationships with our small businesses, which is what this bill's trying to, is working to help. That's really important because sometimes our small businesses, they don't have the accountants and the lawyers to help them out to navigate these application processes. Sometimes we have to reach out, hold their hand, get them through the process. We can do this faster if there are fewer encumbrances on how these programs are to be rolled out. We really know what the business communities are like in each of our jurisdictions. And with just some general guidance, we think we can do a really good job of getting the money out quickly and with a lot of accountability and meet the general direction that you all want us to go in, that the State Department of Commerce wants us to go in, and we can really deliver effectively should this bill pass. The one amendment we're hoping that could be addressed is we incur a lot of costs to implement these programs on behalf of the state and the federal government. We do the marketing for them because just because a grant program is put in place doesn't mean everybody automatically knows about it. We do a lot of outreach and marketing to our constituents, our business owners, to make sure they know about these programs. We have to pay for the auditing on the back end. We have to pay for the banking costs to run the accounts. There really are a lot of back end costs that people don't realize. And in my letter that you have, we request that a small percentage of any grant program be provided for administrative costs. The CARES Act that was passed last year by the Congress allowed for that. We were allowed to allocate administrative costs to run these programs. So with that, I will stop there and provide time to the rest of the other panel and take any questions, but would really urge a favorable report on this bill with our suggested amendment. So thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do we have some questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Hayes.
Madam Chair, and thank you for presenting today, Mr. Burge, as well as Senator Rosenpep. One of the things that we experience with the first distribution, especially as it relates to small businesses, is sometimes our small businesses, and even more so our minority businesses, with expediency don't get the opportunity. I think it's a positive step that you've identified the need for administrative costs, because some of these businesses require that. Like you said, they don't have the expertise always on hand. I would just simply say that we should use some caution, especially as you're dealing with small businesses, and sometimes like the smaller entrepreneurs, first come, first serve, don't really meet the needs of those who really need the resources in order to survive in a competitive market. And so those are some of the things to consider and learn from the missteps that was made here at the state level through the Department of Commerce.
That's a really good point. In Anne Arundel, we do not do first come, first serve. We take in all the applications. We beat the bushes for the people we know are out there that might not have applied. Then we divide up the money. And we really think that's a much more equitable way to do it. When we ran our first small business grant program, our customer employee program, 70% of our applicants self-identified as either women or minority. Now, we know there's some overlap, but that really means in Anne Arundel, we had, in all likelihood, a majority of our recipients were women or minority-owned businesses. We're very proud of that. And again, that goes exactly to your point, Senator, that it's about doing the outreach and the work, the legwork, to make sure they understand what's needed.
Thank you. Senator Bidle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank Mr. Burge for not just his testimony, but how he's handled the grants throughout the pandemic, because Anne Arundel Economic Development has just done a really good job. And I think he's a role model that other economic developments can follow. So thank you, Ben, for being here today.
Amen.
Senator, my complexion keeps you from seeing me blush. I have the absolute best team with me. I just make sure I don't mess it up. That is an amazing and creative team I have working with me. So thank you very much. I'll pass that along.
Okay. Next, then we'll go to Kyle Tilden. You have 2.5 minutes.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, good afternoon. My name is Kyle Tilden, and I'm an intern at the law firm of Boston & Plout. And I'm here on behalf of the Maryland Tourism Coalition and the Maryland Hotel and Lodging Association in support of Senate Bill 740. Thank you to Senator Rosenpep for introducing this bill. As evidenced by the necessity for this bill, many small businesses across the state have been significantly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic and are in great need of support. Many of our members are small business owners and would stand to benefit greatly from the relief of Senate Bill 740 and provide their businesses much needed relief. In the interest of providing that much needed relief to the businesses across the state, I would urge the committee to report the bill favorably. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this witness? If not, then we're going to Drew Jabin.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Drew Jabin on behalf of the Maryland Association of Counties, here in support of Senate Bill 740. As always, you have my written testimony. I will be brief, just want to make a couple points. Throughout the coronavirus pandemic, both the state and counties have recognized the dramatic effects of the altered economy on small businesses throughout the state. And targeted support has been developed to protect them from overwhelming revenue loss, as well as to support safety investments to enable continued operations. So this bill just extends this practical approach, with funds going directly through local jurisdictions as the central vehicle of this continued effort. As Ben mentioned earlier, counties through their economic development agencies are super in touch with local business communities, and they're definitely the best suited entity to connect to the most pressing needs of the community. So this bill just creates a framework of small business support and it can definitely further protect these engines of our economy. So accordingly, MACO requests a favorable report on Senate Bill 740. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this witness? All right. Well, thank you very much. And that ends the testimony on that bill. We're going next to Senator Hayes, Senate Bill 783. Senator, you have whatever time you need to lay out the parameters of your bill. You have selected Anthony Jenkins, Dr. Jenkins, as your lead proponent. So Dr. Jenkins will have 5 minutes, and your other speakers will have 2.5 minutes each.
Excellent. Okay, let me pull it up. All right, thank
And
you.
you know I always get excited when I see it's about copping. I was a professor and dean there for 35 years.
Yes, ma'am. And and just before I get started, Madam Chair, I was really excited about that last bill and the testimony. It sounds like, and I had a bill that I withdrew that would have been heard today, and I withdrew because of bills like the one that we just heard that recognize that locals can do a better job at helping out these small businesses. So I was really glad to see the testimony in the panel that presented. But good afternoon, colleagues. Senator Antonio Hayes for the record. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of Senate Finance Committee. I'm pleased to be here today to introduce Senate Bill 783 to you. I'm honored to be speaking alongside Dr. Anthony Jenkins, President of Coppin State University, Natasha Mayhew from Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott, Office of Government Affairs, as well as Cherie Parks from the Maryland Institute of College Arts, also known as MICA. The greater West North Avenue area is in dire need of revitalization. This community has great potential for economic development due to its geographic location and inclusion of 2 major institutions of higher education in the vicinity. The development of West North Avenue region is long overdue. It is our hope that the city and the state stakeholders will be able to come together to create an overall vision for the future of West North Avenue, also referred to as Route 1 bypass. Impactful institutions such as Coppin State University and MICA have the potential to influence the development along this corridor. These institutions, among others, have the capacity to attract professionals to the area and increase the overall development of the region. Senate Bill 783 seeks to establish a West North Avenue Development Authority to work in coordination with certain residents and stakeholders in order to create a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization strategy for the area and its buffer zone. The plan is targeted to benefit the residents, housing, neighborhoods, economic development, and transportation of both pedestrian and vehicles. Membership of the authority will comprise of representatives from a variety of city and state stakeholders. This combination of stakeholders will ensure that all due diligence is granted. You should have 2 amendments before you, one giving the authority to the development authority the power to expand, and 2, removing the requirement that the Department of Commerce provides staff for the authority. We have also requested another amendment, making it clear and designating the president of Coppin State University or his designee as chair of the authority and granting the Maryland Institute of College Art only membership status. Coppin State University and the Maryland Institute of College Art are anchor institutions that are vital to the success of the area and its future economic prospects. The authority will work in coordination with the citizens within the target zone and buffer zone, aimed at having a higher level of transparency and constituent influence policies, ensuring that the investment will be in the people who need it most. The authority will be required to report its strategy to the Appropriations and Budget and Tax Committees in the House and Senate respectively, as well as the Office of the Governor within 2 years by October the 1st, 2023. Just to give you an idea of the demographics in the area in which we speak, according to the Baltimore Neighborhood Indicators, the community demographics are along the line in that 45.8% of children in this area live below the poverty line. 73.7% are female-headed households with children under 18. 94.2% of the residents are African American, and non-Hispanic. 3,253 households with a 13% vacant and abandoned rate. Coppin State University president or designee leading this effort as chair prevents value added to the community and to the legislation it's aimed to serve. Coppin State University educates a student population of young people who are 70% of them are Pell Grant eligible or low income. Coppin last year had 900 families request on-campus housing with only 650 units, a contributing factor being the disinvestment in the surrounding community, including above average acts of violence. Investing in the community surrounding the university will attract students and families to one of Maryland's most treasured historically Black colleges and university. The Development Authority will leverage some investments already made by the state of Maryland. The GOLD bus route, which replaces the number 13 bus route from my childhood, at least we knew it as the 13, these days they call it the GOLD bus, has the second highest ridership in the entire state of Maryland. In 2016, MDOT, in collaboration with the city of Baltimore, submitted an application to the U.S. Department of Transportation, which resulted in a successful award that became North Avenue Rising. North Avenue Rising is funded through a collaboration between federal, state, and local funding. The state of Maryland and Baltimore City won funding for the project from the U.S. Department of Transportation through the TIGER program. TIGER stands for Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery. The total project budget for North Avenue Rising was $27.3 million. The $10 million from the TIGER grant complements the $14.7 million in funds committed from MDOT, $1.6 million from US DOT's Federal Highway Administration, and $1 million from Baltimore City. And as we speak, they're in the process of wrapping that up. Also, with state help over the last couple of years, we've seen some great successes in that of the former Walbrook Lumberyard, which is now referred to as the Walbrook Mill Apartments. It's a 65-unit mixed income apartment building with 9,000 square feet of ground floor retail space completed in early 2020. Despite the pandemic, the apartments leased up quickly and is now fully occupied. Truist Bank, formerly known as BB&T, opened a branch and ATM at the location in December of 2019. The project was developed by Osprey Property Company, Coppin CDC, and financed with housing tax credits, as well as some of the administrations through the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, various funding sources, whether it be Bernie, Community Legacy, and others. This bill will go a long way to leverage those investments, resulting in a comprehensive revitalization strategy and plan. For these reasons, Madam Chair and colleagues of Senate Finance, I strongly urge a favorable report for Senate Bill 783 with amendments.
Sounds like you've got a lot of plans in mind, and there are a lot of good opportunities waiting to be taken. Are there any questions of the sponsor? Okay. Let's go then to Anthony Jenkins. Dr. Jenkins is president at Coppin. And welcome to Coppin. This is your first year there, I think it is.
Yes, ma'am. It's the first year. We're coming up on the first year here in a couple of months. So thank you for the warm welcome.
Okay.
Thank you. So Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, and Senator Hayes, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's a pleasure to talk about this bill. And as Senator Hayes talked about in his opening presentation, I believe this is a very important bill. It's an important bill for Coppin State University and for our surrounding community. We know some of the good work that has already taken place with Walbrook Mills and some of the other pieces that are really elevating North Avenue and the entire corridor. I believe that this bill is value added. I believe that it better position a anchor institution like Coppin State and our colleagues down at MICA to be involved in the conversation and in the comprehensive planning of what this corridor will look like and the impact that it can have not only on the lives of the men and women who live here, but it also creates the opportunity for us to grow our institutions. That in turn has a significant impact on the economic development and growth of this immediate area. I believe that this bill also goes a very long way to ensuring that the investment and the conversation is focused on the immediate needs of the community that we serve, and to bring those stakeholders to the table and create a very significant comprehensive platform where they can share their voices, their ideas, and have buy-in into how their community grows, I think is a very powerful opportunity. It is one that I believe will help lower crime. It will help our institutions grow. It will bring businesses to the area. It will create a more visually engaging facelift. I think there are so many wonderful contributions to this bill that it strengthens everything that we're trying to do here at Coppin State University as we continue to move and become an urban leader in higher education. Baltimore is a wonderful place. Coppin is an amazing university. The North Avenue corridor has to contribute to the beauty of our city and the strength of our institution. And I think that this particular bill allows us to create that very important bridge that can help us do that. I am excited about this opportunity. I am eager to be a part of it. And along with my colleagues over at Micah, who will speak shortly, I believe that we can really spearhead fast tracking the growth that we've already seen on North Avenue, but do it in a more comprehensive, succinct way that's going to have a significant return on investment. So therefore, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and to the entire members of the committee, I urge you to pass this bill and do so with a favorable report. Thank you very much.
You know, I'm prejudiced in favor of Coppin, and it's a beautiful campus.
Beautiful campus.
And I hope the social work department and the nursing school are still doing the outstanding work they were when I was last there.
Well, Madam Chair, our social work department just received another national ranking, and our nursing department, our social work department just received another national ranking, and our health department was just ranked in the top 12 best nursing programs in the entire nation, beating out institutions like the University of Texas at Austin, University of Central Florida, and a lot of other big institutions with bigger budgets. But as I've told my institution, size will never dictate our ability to be successful.
We agree. Are there any questions for Dr. Jenkins? Okay, we're going to Natasha Mayhew. And she's now with the Mayor's Office of Government Relations. We know you from other times. Okay, we're glad that you're there to help us in Baltimore City.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Natasha Mayhew here on behalf of the Baltimore City Mayor's Office in support of Senate Bill 783. And I want to thank Senator Hayes for bringing this bill forward. The administration is very supportive of efforts to revitalize all parts of our city and to do so in an equitable and community-focused manner. And so this bill brings all the stakeholders to the table to dedicate time, attention, resources, and energy on a redevelopment strategy for West North Avenue. The diverse list of stakeholders include the state and city officials, our city agencies, the educational institutions you just heard from, which would work with the neighborhoods and publicly report on the plan. This approach ensures that the community voices are heard and are critical to the process. The Development Authority would serve as a clearinghouse and resource center. It would help better coordinate state and local development opportunities and enhance local participation and communication. As the sponsor noted, it would help better leverage the millions of dollars in investments, current and proposed, that are on the table for West North Avenue. We do also support the sponsor's amendments, which would give the authority the ability to modify the target area and buffer zone and remove the requirement for the Department of Commerce to staff the authority. Ultimately, we believe that the West North Avenue Development Authority would provide the residents of the community with improved access to affordable housing, healthier neighborhoods, and an increased economic development platform. So with that, we urge a favorable with amendments report on Senate Bill 783. Thank you.
Okay, you know, the president of the Harbor Bank of Maryland was a vice president for business at COP, and he's still very interested. You go talk to the folks at the bank too. Okay. All right, we're going finally to Sherry Parks. And Sherry is with the Maryland Institute College of Art.
Thank you, Chair Kelly and Vice Chair. And thank you, Senator Hayes, for your sponsorship of this bill. I am Dr. Sherry Parks. I am Vice President of Strategic Initiatives at MICA. And I need to say a bit about MICA because I think it's obvious what role Coppin would play. MICA has engaged in projects up and down the North Avenue corridor, is very active. Last year, the Initiative for a Competitive Inner City, which is a national foundation, noted the number of nonprofit organizations in the country that were profiled for their work. MICA was the only higher education institute to be profiled. We are working with the Arch Social Club, the oldest continuous social club in the country. We helped with their strategic plan. We are onboarding makers and artists for the Black Arts and Entertainment District right now onto our online platform because they've not been able to sell for COVID. We have helped squeegee youth at the corner to start their own water business that they sell by the case. We are training and helping young artists and makers to sell online, and they're selling through the MICA store. We have a proposal right now with the Upton Planning Committee to purchase and program a natural dye warehouse in West Baltimore. I say all of that to say that we are working with a number of individual organizations. And what we see is while there are brilliant and resilient and energetic people, there is a need for a comprehensive plan. There is a need for the kind of power that this committee would bring to stay the market forces of gentrification, because of where it is located, it is prime for gentrification that we're seeing in other parts of the city. And it's really, really important that the improvement of the community, which is a historic community that has very famous people who have grown up there, that it is improved for them. And this will allow us to work together. MICA and Coppin right now form the geographic bookends of the organization. MICA and Coppin have been working much more closely together for that area. It actually could be a research corridor between the two institutions. We do a lot more than art and design. That's important to know. And I think that this is something, and I have spoken to some of the community leaders about the bill. They are aware of it and they support it. So Senator Hayes did his homework, I should say. Thank you very much.
Okay, are there any questions for Dr. Parks? Okay, very interesting project, and we all want to be helpful. Okay, so that ends the testimony on that bill. We're going next to Senator Hester, Senate Bill 788, Economic Development, Small Business Financing, Loan Loss Reserve, Maryland Capital Access Program. Senator, you have as much time as you need to lay out the parameters of your bill. Your lead, Eric Weaver, who will have 5 minutes, and the other proponents will have 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes each.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee, for your consideration of Senate Bill 780. For the record, Senator Katie Fry Hester. Since the pandemic began over a year ago, the small businesses in the state of Maryland have endured unprecedented times of hardship and struggle. Many business owners have seen their own financial records adversely affected, particularly in disadvantaged communities. And during the interim, our Small Business Caucus, of which several of you are on, including Senator Feldman and Senator Kramer, we met and we heard again and again how important it was for these small businesses to have access to capital. We also saw some very alarming reporting in the Baltimore Business Journal and other sources that showed how underbanked our majority minority communities were. Senate Bill 788 seeks to address this issue. It establishes the Maryland Capital Access Program, or CAP for short, which is a loan loss reserve program to be held by the Department of Commerce for financial institutions making qualified loans. Now, each time a qualifying loan is made to a small business, a percentage of the loan amount is deposited into the loan loss reserve account by the lender, the borrower, and the state. And this loan loss reserve account creates a form of loan portfolio insurance for each lending institution, which can provide up to 100% coverage if a certain loan defaults. So let me just break down how it works. For starters, a lender completes a simple application to participate in the MDCAP program. When a small business reaches out to the lender for financing and a loan is made on the lender's own, the small business then reaches out to the lender for financing, and a loan is made based on the lender's own underwriting standards. The lender then sends a simple application to the Department of Commerce with the loan details. And a qualifying loan is one that is made to a small business with fewer than 50 employees, does not exceed 10 years, and does not exceed $250,000. If the loan is deemed qualifying under the MDCAP program, the lender contributes at least 2% to the fund, the borrower contributes somewhere between 2 and 7%, and the state contributes an amount equal to the borrower and the lender's aggregate payment. These funds get deposited into the lender's MDCAP loan loss reserve account, and there is a unique loan loss reserve account for each participating lender. The lender can access the funds in their loan loss reserve account to recoup the costs if any of their qualifying loans default. Now, why is this bill important? The loan loss reserve account incentivizes lending institutions to make loans to these small businesses by lowering the risk for the lender of potential losses. This decreases the cost of borrowing money to make a loan via lower interest rates and enables lenders to modify underwriting guidelines to be more flexible on collateral and credit requirements. Now, as this bill was introduced, it called for the governor to make a one-time single appropriation of $10 million in the annual budget to fund the initial program, and it is intended to be self-sustaining thereafter. However, the latest stimulus package proposed by President Biden includes $15 billion in small business grants and another $35 billion in low-cost capital for small businesses. And a portion of this money will be used to launch the next generation of small business lending programs. This program will provide targeted allocations to state development finance agencies to support either existing lending programs or new lending programs. If we pass the Maryland Capital Access Program, this puts Maryland in a position to receive and efficiently put to work impending federal funding for small business relief. Amidst these uncertain times, we must ensure that our small businesses have ample opportunity to acquire the financing assistance they need. The Maryland Capital Access Program is a real way to allow these opportunities to exist. And for these reasons, I respectfully request a favorable report on Senate Bill 788.
Thank you. Are there questions for the sponsor? All right, if not, then we're going to your lead proponent, Eric Weaver. Oh, did Senator Reedy, do you have a question?
Just a quick one, Madam Chair. Senator Hester, I'm very interested in this, and it's good you point out what's happening at the federal level. Could you tell, is this, I'm reading through the bill, is this somewhat like there's some federal, like the XM Bank and things like that? Is that sort of what we're going for, is sort of a federal, is this gonna be like, we want this to be a permanent program in the Department of Commerce, or is this something that we're thinking is more of a temporary thing over the next couple of years?
Senator Reedy, thank you for the question. I'm not aware of the federal program. This is modeled after the California CAP Access Program, which my next witness will talk about. It's worked really well in California. I do think, because the lenders are designing the terms themselves, it will ebb and flow with the market. It's a really interesting program in that way. But let me turn it over to my lead witness,
Sure.
then we'll go back to talk about the programs.
Yeah, it's a very interesting idea. Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, definitely interesting. Thanks.
Okay, all right, so then we're ready to hear from Eric Weaver.
Thank you, Chair Kelly and your colleagues on the Finance Committee. I'm here in support of SB 788, which would create the Maryland Capital Access Program to help small and micro business lenders in Maryland build loan loss reserves to encourage them to lend to a wider range of small businesses in need of capital. I'm a Maryland native who recently moved back to the state after 30 years in California. And while I was in California, I founded and led Opportunity Fund, the leading nonprofit micro business lending institution in the country, which I led for 28 years. So I'm somewhat of an expert on getting capital to very small businesses in distressed communities. Opportunity Fund is a certified community development financial institution, or CDFI. And in our strongest lending year pre-pandemic, we made over 3,000 loans totaling over $100 million, primarily to businesses owned by low-income, minority, and female borrowers. We were able to lend to borrowers that banks considered too risky and too small, in part because we were active participants in California's Capital Access Program, upon which the Maryland proposal has been modeled. We believe the Capital Access Program is better suited to smaller loans than a loan guarantee program because it is much cheaper to administer, and there is no need for the lender to wait around for a third party to decide whether a guarantee is approved. Very small businesses seeking loans under $100,000 tend to be very time sensitive, and they will not wait weeks or months for a loan decision, which is often the case when you're getting a guarantee from the SBA. The fact that they need money quickly often drives them into the arms of short-term, high-cost lenders like merchant cash advance lenders who will get them money quickly, but at an extremely high cost. A capital access program is by its nature fast, flexible, and it provides great leverage for public dollars. Lending to very small businesses, especially those in disadvantaged communities, is very hard, and a capital access program is not all that's needed, but it's an important tool for lenders seeking to get more capital to small businesses that need it. In 2019 in California, the state deposited $25.8 million into the participating lenders' CAP accounts. That almost $26 million leveraged $403.8 million in loans. That's almost 16 times leverage. There were 47 participating lenders, including banks, credit unions, CDFIs, and some non-bank financing companies. An investment in a capital access program is a sound investment in small businesses in the state of Maryland. Thank you. So for these reasons, I request a favorable report on SB 788.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Weaver? Senator Augustine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation, including Mr. Weaver. Mr. Weaver, you mentioned investments in minority and disadvantaged businesses. I don't see anywhere in this bill language anything that says that. I don't see why we would say that when there is nothing in this bill that says that.
Well, I told you what Opportunity Fund did in 2019 in terms of investing in minority and disadvantaged businesses. That, as a CDFI, that was our mission. So we and CDFIs like us would use this program to invest in the businesses that are within our mission. I think it's interesting it might be interesting to think about ways you could better target this program to those businesses, but there's a lot of legal complexity in that. But I just say that I believe that mission-driven lenders are likely to use this program to lend to the businesses that they care about, which are those businesses.
Okay, but there's obviously no direct linkage, and so I see that, and I'm just noting that. So I appreciate your testimony.
Could I say one more thing, maybe, or?
Well, is it?
Okay. No, it is in response to the question. Yes, that you wouldn't use a program like this for a loan that you feel highly confident is going to be repaid. There's no reason to, because you as the lender are paying into this program, and if loans never go bad, you never get your money back out. But you would use this for loans where you felt there was additional risk, and so it would encourage you to lend to people who, I mean, the reality is that people who are living on the financial margins, you know, it can be more risky to lend to them, not because of character, but just because of, you know, history and what systemic racism, sexism have done to put people in a tough spot. So this is a tool to help you lend to somebody who might be a little bit more of a risk, which we should be doing.
Okay.
Madam Chair, could I just say that is the intent of our bill, and as Eric you know, put so well, that it would appeal to people who want to make those types of loans. The bill is the product of the committee, and I would be happy to make that more explicit, or for the committee to make it more explicit. Thank you for the question, Senator Augustine.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going next to Mindy Lehman, from the Maryland Bankers Association.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Mindy Lehman. I'm the Chief Advocacy Officer for the Maryland Bankers Association, and I appreciate the opportunity to testify before you today in support of this legislation. And I also thank the bill sponsor for her leadership on this important bill. You have a copy of my written testimony, so I will be brief. I think the bill sponsor and Mr. Weaver did an outstanding job of outlining how the program under the bill will work. And truly the intent of the program is to help get loans, small business loans to businesses that are right there on the margins. And we have heard from our members that loan loss reserve programs can be helpful in getting the lender to the yes. They can be helpful in offsetting some of the risks that might exist around a business owner who perhaps has insufficient capital, for example, or collateral, or perhaps they don't have what a traditional lender would view as sufficient time in business. Perhaps they are a new business that's only been in existence for less than a year. So there's not a whole lot of track record there to take a look at. So the loan loss reserve program can help offset those risks and enable the lender to then move forward with advancing that loan. I do appreciate the question from Senator Augustine, and we also would be happy to work with the bill sponsor on the committee. If it's the will of the committee to refine the bill in that way, we would not have an objection to that. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions for Mindy? Then we're going to Rory Murray of the Maryland DC Credit Union Association.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, my name is Rory Murray. I'm with the Maryland DC Credit Union Association. We represent the 77 credit unions and their 1.9 million members in the state of Maryland. As you know, credit unions were founded on principles of member economic participation and concern for the community. We take great pride in being able to serve those who have been historically unbanked or underbanked. Of the 77 credit unions headquartered in Maryland, 50 are specifically designated to serve traditionally disadvantaged populations. 36 of our credit unions are low income designated, 12 are minority depository institutions, and 2 are community development financial institutions. Stated in this bill, the purpose is to stimulate opportunities for small businesses that may have difficulty obtaining business financing to have access to credit by establishing a loan loss reserve program. This matches up very well with one of the goals of the credit unions and who we're here to serve. For those reasons, we support the bill. We thank the bill sponsor for bringing it, and we urge the committee to give a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, that ends the testimony on that bill. And Senator Hester has another interesting bill, 824. And Senator, you know the drill. You've got as much time as you need to lay out the parameters of your bill. Your lead proponent, Drew Jabin, will have 5 minutes, and your other proponents or witnesses will have 2.5 each. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm still Senator Katie Fry-Hester, proud to represent District 9. Thank you for your consideration of Senate Bill 824, the Building Out Broadband Act of 2021. We have known for quite some time that not every Marylander has had equal access to high-speed, affordable internet. And if it wasn't clear before, it must be obvious to us now. Broadband is absolutely essential as infrastructure that fosters economic and educational opportunity and facilitates a higher quality of life. That is why it's absolutely critical that we act to build out broadband in Maryland now. Senate Bill 824, as amended, aims to address this issue by tasking the Department of Transportation with convening stakeholders to establish a dig once policy throughout the state. In this model, the Department of Transportation, or an appropriate unit of local government, would provide notification to internet service providers when they are undertaking a road project that could be eligible under this dig once policy. After notifying the providers of the project's eligibility, those providers could opt in to the project and lay down their broadband infrastructure while the state is already trenching in that area. This has two great benefits. First, it lowers the cost of broadband deployment projects by sharing the cost of trenching. And secondly, it reduces road disruptions due to the reduced need for repeat trenching for road improvements and broadband deployment. This legislation also authorizes the department to engage internet service providers in a cost-sharing partnership in which the internet service provider will pay the state or locality on a reasonable financial terms, a negotiated amount agreeable to both parties to share in the cost of the joint trenching. The proceeds of these funds will then be used to further broadband deployment to rural and underserved communities in Maryland, where it's less cost-effective to deploy broadband. In closing, Senate Bill 788 is a sensible method of reducing the cost and increasing the efficiency of broadband deployment and utilizing those cost savings incurred by the internet service providers in a subset of these projects to facilitate the broadband expansion in less profitable areas. For these reasons, I respectfully request a favorable report of Senate Bill 824.
Okay, are there any questions for the sponsor? Right, if not, then we're going to Jubin from Makeup.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Again, for the record, Drew Jabin on behalf of the Maryland Association of Counties, here in support of Senate Bill 824. This bill is a MACO priority initiative, and I'd really like to thank Senator Hester for all of her hard work on this issue. Senate Bill 824 will help to close Maryland's persistent digital divide by enhancing incentives and orchestrating opportunities for broadband deployment across the state. The pandemic has illustrated the importance of access to affordable, reliable, high-speed broadband internet. Broadband access supports a better informed electorate, a responsive government, enhanced civic engagement, whereas lack of broadband hurts Marylanders in their mission to find jobs, obtain health care, access distance learning, and advocate for community change. Access to broadband is a public health issue, and we need 100% of Marylanders connected. This bill aims to streamline broadband deployment by establishing a dig once policy, which has been adopted by numerous municipalities, counties, and states across the country. We know that one of the largest costs to telecommunication providers is not the fiber itself, it's digging the hole, with statistics stating up to 80% of a fiber optic network's capital cost going towards the trenching. So by coordinating with the state, counties, or municipal corporations under a dig once or joint trenching policy, conduit can be installed within the open trench during pre-planned road projects, therefore lowering these expensive capital costs and making it more fiscally attractive for providers to expand that broadband. As the senator mentioned, while we've done our research, the amendment reflects that the idea that the State Department of Transportation is the best entity to develop the specific regulations and mechanics for the implementation of such a policy in consultation with the appropriate stakeholders. As such, MACO and counties stand ready to work with the state in the implementation of this policy. Senate Bill 824 also includes a fee that authorizes entities to charge, Senate Bill 824 also includes a fee that authorized entities may charge during the joint trenching process. I would like to mention that while Comcast has signed up favorable with amendments in part due to the fee, as you will hear from Mr. Looney, we have been working closely with Comcast and other stakeholders, and I believe we've come to a point of addressing their concerns. So this amended language addresses that the fee is simply a means to kind of recoup a portion of the cost from excavation, and then in turn that revenue generated from the fee will be spent on state and local efforts to continue to expand broadband service. So this is very important legislation. It ties in with other broadband bills heard in the Senate, but it doesn't overlap with them. The sponsor and I have been working with all the relevant stakeholders as reflected by the lack of unfavorable testimony. And then finally, the idea of this bill is that all boats rise together. MACO has consistently supported bills that hope to expand broadband access in rural areas and across the state, and this bill is just a continuation of those efforts. We know that there's a lack of access in every county, and this initiative recognizes that by providing an innovative and common sense approach to broadband deployment. This bill is a win-win, and we request a favorable report on Senate Bill 824. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for this witness? Okay, we're going next to Bill George, Maryland Municipal League.
Thank you, Chair Kelly, and to members of the committee. Bill George with the Maryland Municipal League here today testifying in support of Senate Bill 824. There's a lot for municipal governments in this bill to like, including additional authority to help streamline permitting and the reconstitution of the fund. These are aspects that we've kind of seen maybe a little bit in other proposals. So I want to talk a little bit more about the dig once provision and how that unique and creative aspect is really a kind of new and kind of cool way of trying to get at this problem of enhancing broadband deployment. And that's something that we certainly support, and that provision in particular. There is a requirement for the local government jurisdiction to have maintain a list and provide notice, and that is inherently reasonable. That's a necessary part of this in order to get the dig once provision to really work. So, by allowing multiple entities to access the right of way at the same time, as mentioned, is a real cost saver. It will likely lead to broader internet coverage areas. It will increase consumer choice. And one thing that hasn't quite been touched on, but that is near and dear to municipal hearts is that of it will decrease the disruption of the right of way. Right? If there's an ability for multiple entities to get into the dug up road at the same time, then in theory that road will be dug up for less, therefore producing less inconveniences to traffic and residents and businesses. So that's almost a little bit of a side benefit that goes along with obviously the great merits of the bill and improving broadband access is actually reducing inconveniences to the residents and everybody that uses that thoroughfare. So lots to like in this bill, and MML wholeheartedly supports it and asks for a favorable report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, we're going to move to Charlotte Davis, Rural Maryland Council.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Charlotte Davis. I'm the Executive Director of the Rural Maryland Council. I'm happy to be here in support with amendment of Senate Bill 824. You've heard pretty much what the bill already does. We support this bill because we believe you all have already heard a lot about the pandemic and the importance of broadband and the digital divide. One thing we continually hear from our small rural municipalities is the challenge for them to provide broadband to their residents. All of our program and funding is primarily directed to last mile broadband infrastructure. So none of those programs or funding can help support our small rural municipalities. They are struggling with providing Wi-Fi for downtown tourists and businesses and higher speeds for their businesses. So we believe that this bill could be an additional tool so that those small rural communities can expand broadband into their communities. We do have two concerns. One, I think Ms. Jabin already addressed, which is we ask that this bill conform with what is currently moving in the Senate, Senate Bill 66, with regards to the Rural Broadband Assistance Fund and the Digital Connectivity Fund. So we just ask that those conform with what's currently happening on that bill. And then we are concerned with the fee provision. It is enabling, however, we want to make sure that the municipalities and local governments don't turn this into a revenue generation. We would prefer some limits on that fee. And also we've heard through the Task Force on Rural Broadband, Internet, and Wireless Cellular Service that concern is inconsistency across jurisdictions. The providers tell us that that's a major impediment and obstacle to broadband expansion. And so we don't want to see wildly divergent fees across different jurisdictions and local governments. We don't want to say one size fits all, but maybe that is an area that needs a little further study. But other than that, like I said, we think this will lead to enhanced broadband expansion across our state. And we thank the sponsor for bringing it forward. And we ask for your favorable with amendment support. Thank you.
Are there any questions for this witness? Okay, well, then we're going to Sean Looney, Comcast.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Sean Lee from Comcast. I too want to thank the sponsor, Senator Katie Fry-Hester, for putting this legislation in. It's just for the committee's edification. It's not based upon a hypothetical or theoretical. We actually did something like this in Garrett County. Garrett County came to Comcast and said, hey, if we dig up the right-of-way, would that lower the cost enough for you to connect some homes? And we said, absolutely. So they dug up the right-of-way, we put in our conduit of fiber, and we connected more than 500 homes in Garrett County that otherwise would have not have received broadband service anytime soon. So Senator Katie Fry-Hester heard about that, and Mako heard about that, and they got together and put together this bill. We have one or two concerns with the bill, as you can imagine, with something that's complicated. I think all the concerns have been addressed through amendments. Thank you to the sponsor for having that discussion with us. And I think it's just another piece of the puzzle for how we can try to figure out how to get broadband to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. So thanks again to the sponsor. She's become a leader in this on this issue. So we thank her for her sponsorship of this bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this witness? Okay. Hearing that.
Madam Chair, could I just point out that we sent amendments today that conform with the House status, and I believe that the Rural Maryland Council and the Comcast, amendments are covered in there as well. So they were late in drafting, but they should be in your email box.
Thank you. All right,
Yep, we're good with those.
Going to Senator Hester's third bill, Senate Bill 902, Economic Development Cyber Workforce Program and Fund established. Senator, you know the drill, and your lead proponent is Jennifer Luck, and that person will have the, but your lead proponent is Greg Smith.
That is correct.
Have the 5 minutes. All of the other witnesses will have 2.5. All right, you take the time you need to lay out your parameters.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I promise if you vote all of these favorable out of committee, I will never bring 3 bills again to finance. But thank you for your consideration of Senate Bill 902. This bill supports and promotes the importance of cybersecurity by establishing a cyber workforce program and fund housed within the existing Partnership for Workforce Quality and Commerce. Currently, Maryland has 22,730 some cybersecurity job openings that are not including the additional cyber and IT related jobs that are integrated into other sectors. That's almost 23,000 open jobs. At the same time, we have a higher than normal unemployment rate, and there's an extremely large demand for IT talent throughout the state. So investing in systems that help train and place Marylanders in high-paying cyber and IT jobs is a win for our constituents, it's a win for the state, and it's a win for everybody trying to hire an IT professional. So how does this bill work? Senate Bill 902 attempts to address this shortage of IT workers in our area by creating the Cyber Workforce Grant Fund and Program within the Partnership for Workforce Quality within Commerce. The program starts with a demand side pull. By working with the Cybersecurity Association of Maryland, the industry group representing cybersecurity employers in Maryland, to identify the needs of our employers and then develop or identify cost-effective approaches to meeting those needs. The program will then match those needs with our unemployed Marylanders who are looking for new career options by requiring the Department of Labor to provide names and contacts to the program Housed and Commerce to conduct outreach regarding employment, training, and career opportunities in the cyber fields. At the same time, this legislation creates the Cyber Workforce Fund. This is a special non-lapsing grant fund to be used for investment in the training programs identified through the planning effort to bridge the gap between our unemployed Marylanders seeking employment and the needs of the companies. This fund pulls from two potential resources. The first resource we identified uses funding left over from a variety of scholarship programs to provide funding for the programs identified or created through this initiative. We worked very closely with MHEC over the summer, several phone calls between my office and them, and we identified that approximately $5 to $10 million annually of leftover funds left over from the data received by MHEC. I understand they've submitted testimony that speaks to the contrary. So I don't know where the miscommunication stands, but we'll certainly be following up with them and the financial auditors to figure out what's happening to any unused grant funding. The legislation also includes an intent that $25 million of financial assistance provided to the state for workforce development through the COVID-19 aid be appropriated to this program if permissible, but this is subject to the wisdom of the committee. So there's two potential funding sources there, each of which need a little further investigation. But I think the way the bill is structured for the program to identify the needs of workers, to identify the needs of the companies, to match them with currently unemployed and bridge the gap with training is the right thing to do at this time. These are high-paying jobs that offer economic opportunity for a diverse array of Marylanders. And with this legislation, we can facilitate our constituents' access to these high-paying jobs in the industry and support the economic growth in the state of Maryland. For this reason, I respectfully request a favorable report on Senate Bill 902.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the sponsor? Okay, we're going next to Greg Smith, who has the 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Greg Smith. I'm the CEO of Attila Security, which is my 4th cybersecurity company here in the state of Maryland. I am also the chairman of the Cybersecurity Association of Maryland, and we call it CAMI. At CAMI, we represent approximately 600 cybersecurity companies located in every county in the state of Maryland. As a representative of both Attila and as the chairman of CAMI, I fully support Senator Hester's Bill 902. While some of you might not know CAMI well, we focus on our companies with programming and connections to assist in their growth. We have a world-class advisory board of chief information security officers from companies in the state like Under Armour, Exelon, Purdue Farms, T. Rowe Price, and government agencies, including Cyber Command and the Department of State. Where you may have heard of us, though, is with the program that we have called our Cyber Swat program, where we assist consumers, small and mid-sized businesses when they have a cybersecurity event or a breach. Our companies jump in and assist immediately with pro bono advice and reduce fees. This is all managed by CAMI directly. Our company's greatest challenge is keeping up with our adversaries, but adding to our workforce is vital to our future. As Senator Hester pointed out today, we do have over 22,000 cybersecurity jobs open in the state of Maryland and 3.5 million cybersecurity jobs open in the United States. To give you an example, AT&T in Columbia had over 100 entry-level cybersecurity jobs open in the 4th quarter of 2020. These are high-paying jobs and desperately needed. The average starting salary is $50,000 a year, and with a few years of experience, that salary can jump well north of $100,000. We don't just need computer science people, like you might hear. We need analysts who can think differently. We need technical writers. We need product managers. We need sales engineers, and we need QA people and testers. Bottom line, we need many people with different skills, training, and educational levels. At CAMI, we definitely understand the employment needs and requirements that our customers and companies have. We are eager, all of our companies are eager to hire interns, apprentices, career transitional people, as well as students from our community colleges and four-year university programs. CAMI has the experience and the skills to support SB 902 and to enhance our cyber workforce. At the end of the day, we all have a common goal here, which is to keep our citizens, our businesses, and the government safe from our adversaries and get more people back to work. And CAMI stands ready and able to assist. Madam Chair, thank you so much for your time. We fully support SB 902.
Thank you. Testimony is exciting. Are there any questions for Mr. Smith? All right. If not, then we're going to Tina Williams-Caroma.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Chair Kelly and everyone for your time. So I'm Tina Williams-Caroma. I'm President and CEO of T-Secure LLC, which is a cybersecurity risk management and services company in the state of Maryland, based in Baltimore City. We're in Harbor East. And I'm also a product of the state from an education perspective, UMBC undergrad, and also have my law degree from the University of Maryland Carey School of Law. So I get an opportunity to apply that some. I've been very involved with the entrepreneurship community within the state. In addition to T-Secure, I've actually spun off and launched another cyber venture with whom I'm working with UMBC using funds from the Maryland Industrial Partners Program. So cybersecurity talent is certainly on the top of my priority list. I've had the opportunity to work with and engage and hire an apprentice through the University of Maryland Baltimore County Training Centers program, sponsored and registered through the Maryland Department of Labor Licensing and Regulation. So that has gone well, but I can say with all of the existing efforts and programs that I'm involved with from an economic development and a workforce perspective, to date, there still remains quite a bit of gap that needs to be filled in terms of available workforce here in Maryland. For the opportunities that have arisen with our company and our openings, we continue to have challenges in hiring local to Maryland. So some opportunities we've lost out on because the opportunities not only require certain skill sets from a cybersecurity perspective, but also require, in some cases, government clearances. And so having programs that would enhance the number of workforce individuals that are available with both the requisite skill sets, as well as those that have gone through a security clearance process, or at least started such. A lot of times for the programs we have, they aren't willing to wait for the clearances to process. So we've either lost out on some of the opportunities, or we have had to hire out of state for work that gets performed in state. I have a recent example towards the end of last year where we hired a gentleman that his residence is in Pennsylvania, but he traveled to Aberdeen to do some cybersecurity work for us on our behalf, and that we weren't able to find the appropriate cybersecurity talent here within the state of Maryland to bring in and to deliver the services for us. So I think by having an organization like CAMI that involves industry that can provide some feedback and additional drivers regarding closing this gap and enhance the programs that are available to help close those gaps so that companies like mine have ample labor to hire within the state would be very helpful. I did have in my written testimony just a comment that I think it's important to also perhaps within CAMI versus something that is the responsibility of Department of Commerce, have a diversity metric. I want to make sure there's equitable access and opportunity and engagement of communities across Maryland, so that this is a bill and a law that will help all Marylanders and provide access and engagement equitably. And I think it's best when that's measured explicitly to make sure that access and engagement is equitable.
I wish
you
we
so
could
much.
go on and listen some more. You're
Oh
interesting.
no, I'm fine. I'm wrapping up. I'm done. So thanks so much for your
Okay.
time. I appreciate it.
All right, we're going next to Tom Sadowski.
Thank you very much, Chair Kelly, Vice Chair Feldman, and members of the Senate Finance Committee. My name is Tom Sadowski. I'm Vice Chancellor for Economic Development with the University System of Maryland. I'm also a member of the CAMI board, and currently I'm chair of the board for Junior Achievement of Central Maryland. And I'm here today asking for your favorable report on Senate Bill 902. I thank Senator Hester for her leadership in putting this bill together and all the great listening she's done in the community over the last couple of years to identify the problems and the solution with filling this talent filling this talent gap that we have here in Maryland. The system is doing a great job of providing cyber talent to the marketplace. With your support every year, we're generating over 12,000 STEM grads. Almost 8,000 of those are cyber related, but as you can see, it's just not enough. So we need the kind of industry support that this bill would provide to develop the kind of internship programs, certification and credentialing programs, and the experiential learning programs at the K through 12 levels to help really develop a sustained pipeline to satisfy the cyber talent needs of Maryland, not only today, but going forward. As I said, the jobs that are available today are critical that we fill. 80% of them require either a bachelor's or a master's degree. But along with that, industry requires that there are at least 5 years of technical expertise required. So it's not just the degrees that we're awarding through the university system, it's also that hands-on experience that they need to really make a difference in these cyber positions that are available. That's where we really need industry's partnership. And that is what's made possible through this bill and the resources necessary to create the kind of programming that's necessary, not only to provide the academic and educational experience that these talented professionals need, but that hands-on experience as well. And so with your support and your favorable report on Senate Bill 902, I think we can get there, but really it's going to take industry leadership, I think, to identify the problems and working together with academia to help make it all happen. So thank you very much for your time and this opportunity to testify on behalf of Senate Bill 902.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, we're going then to Jennifer Luke.
Hello, good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Finance Committee, and thank you, Senator Hester, for the opportunity to be here. For the record, I'm Jennifer Luke. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Decisions Oriented. We're a small government contractor in Odenton, Maryland, with less than 50 employees. We provide cybersecurity systems engineering services to classified contracts on the Fort Meade complex as a subcontractor. I support SB 902 for a couple of reasons. One, as a small business, we must endure about a 534 plus day waiting period to clear a highly qualified and experienced cybersecurity professional at the TSSCI with full scope polygraph level. Because we cannot staff on a classified contract without a properly cleared candidate, the candidate can't generate any revenue for the company during that 534 day plus period for a business. Our only course of actions are to offer unsustainable compensation packages to entice cleared candidates to leave their current jobs to come to ours, or maintain an uncleared candidate on our payroll and hope that we can staff quickly, which never happens because prime contractors usually have primacy on the contracts over the subs. I incurred over $270,000 worth of expenses in trying to clear 2 highly qualified cybersecurity apprentices turned professionals, only to have to turn them loose in 2020. A funded cyber workforce program would have been beneficial in helping us keep these employees employed and trained on a livable salary in Anne Arundel County and Howard County, and eventually staff on the contract. My second reason for supporting Senate Bill 902 is that a cyber workforce program will increase diversity and inclusion in the cybersecurity workforce, as well as the cleared government contracting community. Persons of color have a higher likelihood of having family or close contacts with foreign nationals and may have some association to individuals with criminal records. While these do not prevent the individuals from being cleared, it does add more time in addition to the 534 plus days to adjudicate their applications and making them less likely to be staffed on a cleared contract doing cybersecurity work. This is a systematic barrier that prevents some persons of color from entering this lucrative workforce. The extra time to clear is a deterrent to investing time and expenses. A funded cyber workforce program would minimize these barriers by reducing the risk to small businesses of these high expenses and clearing employees for small businesses that will increase diversity to fill these critical cybersecurity positions. In closing, a cyber workforce program and supporting funds through Senate Bill 902 will greatly benefit us all for generations of cybersecurity professionals to come. Thank you for your time and looking forward to a favorable report for this bill.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this witness? Okay, and we're going finally to Chuck Farnham, and you have 2.5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and members of the committee for the opportunity to speak here in support of SB Bill or Senate Bill 902. I'm Chuck Farnham. I'm the CEO of Bridges, a cyber company delivering services to the intelligence community as a prime contractor, founded and built in Maryland. And I'm also a cyber product from Maryland. I graduated from Anne Arundel County Schools and the University of Maryland at College Park with a degree in electrical engineering. And I'm also a CAMI, or Cyber Association of Maryland, board member. Workforce and development, as CEO, workforce development and diversity have been very important to me. And as Senator Hester stated, on any given day, more than 22,000 cyber jobs are open in Maryland alone. In my company, we continually have over 50 entry-level to high-tech positions open at any time, and sometimes upwards of 70 or 80. With average salaries well over $80,000 a year. We simply can't find enough people with the right skills for the demand that we have. And as a smaller business, we can't afford the full investment it takes to create a workforce from scratch. And in addition, traditional sources such as universities aren't producing them fast enough for our needs. The good news is there are many programs out there, training programs, apprenticeship programs, internship programs that are working to create trained resources in cyber and IT. But the challenge is that as a cyber company and an employer, there's a gap between those programs and actually putting people in jobs. First of all, companies on the smaller end of the scale don't have time to go and survey all of those programs that are out there and don't know about them or how to find them. There's typically a little bit of a skills mismatch for the specific jobs we actually have because the programs aren't aligned early enough with companies that have jobs. And then there's the administrative burden on a small company of figuring out how to apply, track, report, and coordinate the execution of these programs to hire a person and fill a job. And in addition, the cyber industry as a whole needs to diversify the pools of candidates. And these programs are designed to benefit and bring people in that don't have typical exposure to cyber opportunities. SB 902 provides fundings to bridge that gap, and CAMI, the Cyber Association of Maryland, as a cyber industry association, is strategically positioned to provide the connection service between those programs and cyber employers in Maryland. With this funding, CAMI can identify and catalog programs that are aligned and appropriate for various types of companies like cyber services companies or cyber products companies, national security and government contractors, and even government, and help those employers connect to those programs and facilitate the administrative processes to make those programs successful and fill that final gap, actually putting people to work. The bottom line is that this bill will directly help employers put people to work in high-paying Maryland cyber jobs with high growth potential, create diversity by opening up new candidate pools to employers and bring them into the cyber industry, and grow Maryland cyber businesses so they can continue to lead the way in cyber for our state, the nation, and the world. Success of this bill is simply measured by how many Marylanders we put into cyber and IT jobs in Maryland. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I hope I can count on you to support SB 902, which is critical legislation to help build and grow the cyber workforce in Maryland by linking talent creating programs to companies to fill jobs in Maryland, especially as we recover from the coronavirus pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this witness?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
sure. Since we're at the end of the three bills that the senator brought, I just do want to give her a shout out. I want to commend her. She started this year this bipartisan small business caucus and invited me to be part of a lot of these conversations. So I just want to get it out there after we listened to three bills, what a great job she's done. A lot of time she's put into a whole wide array of economic development bills and topics. So I just want to thank her for bringing these bills and all the work she's done during the interim on this broad topic.
I think we would all second the motion. All right.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. This ends our hearing. Colleagues, could you be in your seats in the committee room by 4:45 at 4:50?